So this is the inaugural quarantine broadcast. Try and, you know, cheer up in these dark times. I thought I'd start. You know, you all know who we are probably. I'm Rob Grant, and I thought we'd all start with our hot tip for quarantine survival. And this is something I tell all fledgling writers when they ask me, you know, for the favorite tip. There was an author who was going around Hollywood asking all the top screenwriters what their top single tip was for a would-be writer. And this guy thought about it for a while and then said, whatever you do, get dressed every day. And I think that's great. It's been great advice for me. I've mostly kept up with that. But it's a sort of an occupational hazard. The truth is, I've pretty much been self-isolating for the last 25 years.
This is something to do with your personality, Rob, let's be honest.
There wasn't a word for it then, though, so it wasn't just... My wife had some words for it. But,
25 years.
Okay, and so I'll introduce the other panelists. This is Ed By, our producer / director. Without him, Lord knows what we'd have. It was a very difficult project to pull off, and he did. And he's obviously gone on to stellar fame and fortune in the movies and the televisions and things. And he's going to give you his top tip now.
Here's my top tip. It's coming up in the form of a song. I hope you can hear it.
Oh, you're going to play that?
Sorry about it. It's got some bad language in it. Is anyone here? Oh no, everyone's well over the threshold of the watershed.
How do you get this on, Ed?
I'm just going to hold it up to the telly.
Technical genius, Ed By again.
Oh, I'm turning off my email.
Can you hear it?
Is that max volume?
So I've written you a poem. We need your help to cure it. So stay the fuck at home. And if you have got 12 kids or you're living on your own, lock it down and isolate and stay the fuck at home. If you think you're gonna do it, in a dome, it spreads faster than a hooker's weight. So stay the fuck at home.
Right, okay, I think we've got the message.
Wait a minute.
Stay the fuck at home. But I feel
That'll do.
Stay the home, boys.
Okay. Thanks for that hot tip, Ed. I was
Yep.
In rehearsals. He said he was going to say gin was his tip, which I think.
Gin. Oh yes, that's the other thing.
And
if
below,
you run out of gin, you
below
can
it,
get
here,
it from Deliveroo. I
yeah,
got it in 11 minutes.
7 minutes.
11
For a bottle of...
minutes.
I phoned Deliveroo. I said, I need some gin, and I typed it in, and it came in 11 minutes.
That's not bad. Below me here is a legend of television and comedies. Honestly, the godfather of what we used to call alternative comedy, but we now just call comedy.
As Pauline Melville said at the time, it's an alternative to having a bloody good time somewhere else.
Well, who's laughing now?
Pauline, she's very successful now.
And he's launched so many careers, stellar careers, like Sir Lenny Henry and Rick and A. Just if you haven't been produced,
and Grant Naylor, one of my biggest.
if you haven't been produced by Paul Jackson, you're just not funny. That's a fact. That's just a fact. So, Paul, give us.
Well, following on from Ed's, I think all you need for self-isolation is some booze. This happens to be a bottle that you gave me a couple of months ago, Rob. Some chocolate, obviously, is very important. And what better to pass the time? The massive 8-episode, every pixel ever recorded, Blu-ray box set. Get your head around that, guys. And maybe, we haven't asked them yet, but maybe the fan club will do a special super duper quiz if we give you...
I've got a special guest.
Hi.
Hey, Roo!
Oops.
How are
She
you,
was in
girl?
episode
I was in
something.
an episode, okay?
She was in time slides. Time
Have you
slides.
just got out of bed? I'm not being rude, but have you literally just got out of bed, or?
I'm putting on full fucking makeup.
Are you doing your own makeup now, girl?
Really good. What are you talking about? I'm a boil now growing out of Ed's shoulder.
How to get ahead.
You know, boy, is out for a long time, Rue.
I know, I'd like to see you.
We'll see you very soon after, yeah?
Well, there's a guest for a future
That's
episode.
a good start.
First,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Just one point
Mental
here.
health and yeah?
I've got an attender who can't log in, Emma Tyso. I don't know. Was she Joe on the invite list? Oh no, there she is. She's in.
I'm in.
She's in. Okay.
Yes, that's nice, Bruce. 3 absolute heroes in Blaze. That was your character.
No,
Thanks again.
I wouldn't remember.
Okay, so I guess we can. I just wanted to talk very briefly at the top here about Future Echoes and how it came about and what it meant to us. Really, it was a really important episode, perhaps the most important for me as a writer, because when we first brought Red Dwarf to the BBC, we were advised by a Paul Jackson that no, the BBC were terrified of science fiction. True, they still are.
Space comedy, it'll never work.
Yeah, it'll never work. And so we played it down. I remember in the opening pilot script, we started off with the opening scenes in a corridor, and we said could be the corridor in a TV studio, because we thought that the BBC people would know what that looked like. So and we just wanted to make it sound. And the first 3 eps after the pilot we wrote were really what I call wallpaper science fiction. That is sort of Aunt Sally stuff that we'd set up ourselves, stuff about holograms and the cat backstory and the 2 guys together. And we got to writing show 5, and that was Future Echoes. And I suddenly thought, why are we doing a science fiction series and not really doing science fiction? And so this was really pushing the boat out for us. I've never seen anything like this in terms of comedy, a temporal farce kind of thing. So that's where it came from. And it was such a success that we put it out as the second show. It was, it worked so well, and that set the scene for the rest of the series. Okay, so when somebody else can't get in. Well,
You've got to
Carrie in. Oh well, I hope she can get in anyway. We can't hold everything up, can we? So here we are. I'm just lining up Future Echoes. I had it lined up. I'm watching it.
You're about to press go, are you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm about to press go. Okay, so everybody ready?
Yeah.
I've got subtitles only. I'll be watching down here. Paul's not got a remote apparently. Paul, are you ready?
Turn on the telly, Rob.
Okay, no. So 3, 2, 1, play. And there we go. We should all be going. Hope you all are. It doesn't really matter if you fall out of sync by as much as a minute, because you'll just see what we're talking about when it comes up. Okay, well, I mean...
Here we are on opening titles, shot on 35mm. These shots...
Remember doing the shot with Craig painting the thing, Ed? Where did we do that?
We did that in the London studio, the same studio where they shot Nostromo for Alien. That's where we did these model shots. It was really tricky in those days to plant Craig onto that ship, and it still looks a bit fuzzy. That's because we shot on 35mm, so the film weave didn't really match.
I just mentioned it.
Weave at the same time. These days,
So you laid 2 35mm pictures over each other was the only way to do it.
Yeah, tricky in those days. But anyway, oh look, lovely titles.
Now, so Ed, tell us about Norman and his in-out of vision story.
So Norman first started off just being out of vision for Red Dwarf. I can't remember how many episodes we recorded without him. And Rob,
I think this is the first one we recorded.
I think this is the first one we actually shot him in vision.
Yeah. And so he kept coming up to you, Rob, and saying, what was he saying?
He would say, "You're losing out on this, mate."
By the way, it wasn't only Rob, it was anybody in the studio who would listen.
Yeah. And interestingly, somebody other cast said, keep him out, keep him out. Now, that's it. Ahead of the curve, an electric bike, come on.
Yeah, now that was a big mistake. I don't think that occurs in any other episodes, because, of course, Craig just went mental on the set with it.
Yeah, but
everybody up.
How ahead of the curve you were with an electric bike.
Yeah, true.
Talking, this is Tony, of course, behind
Tony
me.
Hawks, yeah.
Hawks, yeah.
Who later played the entire Moldovan football team at tennis, I think, if I'm right.
He did, yeah.
And walked around Ireland with a fridge on his back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he started, folks, in as the vending machine on Red Dwarf.
Well, he actually started as a warm-up, didn't he, for us?
He was doing the warm-up, yeah. Yeah.
And we all got on with him so well.
Yeah.
We put him in the show whenever we could.
Just while we were watching this, why does Norman look so pixelated on the thing? Was that just a function of the difficulty of getting him on there, or was it?
We wanted to make him look like a computer, and there was limited facilities for that. So when you see he comes up, you'll see him come up on the screen in a minute in the back of this shot. He's kind of looks just normal, and we just didn't want him to look just normal as a normal person. So we slightly overcooked it, I have to be honest, in this episode. And in subsequent series, we dialed it back so he looked more like himself, and we posterized him. So you can see there that he looks relatively normal, but when you come close up there, it's obviously very different. It was just to try and make him look computerish, but that was the limited facilities we had on the day. But we overcooked it, I think, on this. And certainly we should have kept the background the same color as in the monitor, which we couldn't change the color in the monitor, so we maybe should have kept this black. But then he tended to disappear. So
yeah,
sort of.
And so, having got his wish to be on screen, Ed, he then moaned about the way he looked. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I can't see enough of my face.
And also, Ed, where did you put him in the studio? Where?
Well, he used to be stuck on sometimes underneath the audience roster or just behind the set. Nice, see that invisible? And he would have to be wrapped up in black and hidden away. And he said, "Oh, mate, can I not be nearer the audience? They need to sit." And I said, "That's not the point, Norman. Stand up. You're doing sit down, and you're behind the back."
So nice wiggery, Ed. Nice wiggery.
Yep.
So
nice trick wig shot.
This is I think this is the first time we see Danny here, isn't it? Yes, that's right. A little bit of backstory for you here. And I'm trying to remember where we shot those. I think we shot them in Manchester. Danny's hair here, this is an interesting, when Danny first appeared on the show, his hair stuck out sideways. And it didn't quite feel right to me. So we swept it back like that, and it sort of kept that shape ever since. Yeah. As a sort of
I've had a question here, Ed. Who played the grandmothers? Anyone remember? I do remember her, actually.
I do remember her too, but I can't remember her name. So we get Danny's hair like this, and then he just sort of
kept the wig. They want to know. I imagine the BBC kept the wig. Yeah, they probably used it for Liberace.
Yeah.
We used a very similar one in Happy Families with Chris Barry again, actually, but dropping on Jennifer Saunders' head. Now, here's Craig showing his technical expertise, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is obviously, it's a robot fish. We don't do any cruelty to fish in Vision. And this is how to fix a fish. Lift that, poke that, do that, tap it a bit, and that's how you fix a fish. High technical accomplishment there by Craig. Thank you very much.
We've had a question. Did you steal any props?
I stole
a scutter, a mini scutter. The demonstration model that Peter Ragg first made.
Yeah.
I took that, and unfortunately it got lost in a house move about 5 years ago, to my fury.
I did steal a gun from one of the later series, but because props are made just to be seen in vision, as soon as I got it home, it fell apart.
The Scuttle,
I've actually got a Star Trek second generation phaser that was given to me by the crew of the show when we were doing the American version, and it's made of wood. It's made of wood.
Yeah,
I know. I didn't expect it to work.
There you go. There's a classic salute.
Now, yeah, we're going to do a salute at the end, guys. Yeah. Anybody?
No, I think I'm not sure whether sort of Chris was just doing a kind of salute like he thought Rimmer would, or whether we'd already discussed the full.
Oh, no, we did it. We did in the rehearsal rooms in North Acton, where we rehearse this each week. We did discuss about how the salute would work, and also later on how many times he revolved his hand before he saluted himself. I mean, we did work on it. Toaster there. Name that man who's behind the toaster. Your starter for 3.
John Lenihan.
Ding, correct.
It's John Lenihan, the magician, and again, he was a warm-up guy for us. And we had a question before, and yes, Eddie Izzard did do a warm-up for us once. I'd seen him in Islington, and just thought, wow, this guy is something else.
Toaster. Yes, we love the toaster.
And so we brought him in to do a warm-up, and he was awful. Because that's not what Eddie does.
Not what he does. Not what he
does. He needs centre stage. He can't just stop in the middle of the story. And everybody was looking at me thinking, oh, God, Rob can't have talent, can he?
Warm-up's important. I mean, if you have a bad warm-up, it can kill the studio, yeah?
Yeah, it's very important.
This is a cracking scene between the two of them, because this really, for me, solidifies how these two relate to each other.
Complete and total tit line is one of the all-time best.
And selfish, and the other one is completely selfish.
Anybody seen John Lenihan's banana trick? Apparently, it's something else.
On the show.
I expect it's rude. Is it true the actors didn't like each other to start? Not really. They
boys, no. They couldn't have been more different. Craig and Danny would be coming in from the Hacienda to the hotel in Manchester, going up the stairs as Chris was coming down to go for his jog in the morning before the show started. They couldn't have, had a more different approach to life. But I think they both totally understood how important the other was to them. A lot of those double act stories are exaggerated, and they certainly get on very well, I think.
Yeah.
No, they do. They still see each other and everything, obviously.
Yeah. Well, they've just spent a few weeks together in the studio in Shepperton, so.
So here's a set. This set was interesting because we were trying to copy just about every science fiction film we liked, and as a result, it was a bit of a mishmash. My feeling about this is all this paneling is a little bit too light. It should have been a bit more grungy, but it still works as a good backdrop against the shots, bearing in mind it's all shot on 1 inch, so you don't get much colour.
Anybody know what the typing is going on in the screen behind Lister? What was that?
It came from, at the time there was a machine called, I'm trying to remember whether it was either a teletext or it was a
telephone.
I think it might have been, it was a BBC text.
CFAX.
Something like that. And we just fed it, the same system, we fed it into the monitors.
CFAX, what we used to do. Yeah.
Really directed these, not me, and he did such a brilliant job. Look at this. I mean, even after all these years, I think this still looks pretty stunning.
Now, these are replaced shots, aren't they? These aren't the original.
Yeah. So, Rob, I want to ask you a question about the sequence coming up here. Is this based on some kind of personal experience?
Well, we were, I think this is a great gag, I really do. It's the way he does it after he realises. Fantastic double take. This is just classic.
Great gag, because the audience laughed like crazy.
The truth is, if you were a fly on the wall in Craig's bedroom, you wouldn't be shocked to see that happen. You really would. I mean, he really was typecast as a slob.
Yeah.
There was one
Well,
time we were having breakfast at the BBC canteen, which was, and Danny had a fry up, and Craig came down late after they closed the thing, and he took one of Danny's sausages, and he said, just with his hand, he said, "Listen, guys," and then he squirted some ketchup onto the table, the table. He said, "Listen, guys, I'm worried about being typecast." Tipped it in and bit into it as a scrub. Now we've gone past light speed, and actually in the script, I remember we said there's a light shift, so it's red shift at the back and blue shift at the front, which was a result of my extensive, and it's true, readings about quantum physics. I actually did the work, so you don't have to. And it mattered to me then. I don't know what.
So this sequence here coming up, after Holly's sort of yabbering on, was quite complicated because we had to run bits of VT into the mirror, which was wiped in at a different time, but the actors, of course, couldn't see that. So we had to describe to them what they were seeing in the mirror and how to react to it. So there, you see the two actions are different.
That's nice. That was nicely subtle.
See that, obviously Craig couldn't see what he's looking in the mirror, so we had to talk him through it. So telling him to turn around suddenly and say Rimmer's behind you, we put Rimmer just in the monitor there by managing to get it on an angled wipe.
I think, when we get to the scene in the control room where they're doing the same scene twice, if you see what I mean. Yeah, these guys had only been working together for this is the 5th episode that we shot. And I think that, the skill of that's something that long practice double acts do. And
I think they really, and particularly in this double scene, which I know is choreographed, and we talked about that. I think the chemistry between them is really starting to show.
I think it's amazing. None of them had done serious acting before. Chris was a stand-up impressionist in the clubs. Craig was an agitprop poet. They were doing these first big acting roles, and suddenly they're asked to do not just acting, but major, difficult technical stuff. And I think it's a real tribute to how brilliant they both are, that they got that right. And without too much trouble, Ed, you didn't have to do massive retakes, did you?
No, they were very good. They all learnt their lines, they were all bang on it. And so any retakes were really just performance tweaks or technical problems. Yeah. And that's what you're talking about, which is coming up soon, where they have to talk to each other sort of out of sync. Was when we were rehearsing it, when we first started rehearsing it, we went, we're never going to get this. And then I realized I had to pretend to be one of them when they're not them. I hope that makes sense. And so they could then start to understand where the invisible person was. And once we blocked it and got it right, they were great. They just got their eye lines right.
Here we go. Here it is.
Eye line that's
here it is. The eye lines are extraordinary because you think that doing that without seeing the other figure, it really is a very special piece of acting, this.
And Chris was so good. He just did the same thing twice perfectly. Yeah. Absolutely.
He was always a joy to edit, Chris, because he always does.
You see, I'd be running in front of Chris and going down the door. And then
but I do think it's Craig's reactions here that sell this and make it comedic.
I mean, that's a very ambitious thing to do, both writing, directing, and acting in the first episodes of a series.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds, nowadays you could do it on your own computer, but then it hadn't been done. And Ed was, wasn't that experienced a director, were you? And it was very tricky, and he pulled it off brilliantly. I mean,
this was recorded onto magnetic tape. This was all done. It wasn't digital where you could play around with the picture anyhow you want.
See, now that's a wipe. And that was, in those days, that was quite hard. So I had to say to Craig, stay just to the right-hand side of that cabinet by the wall, because Chris is coming in the other side of the shot. Now they're both in the same shot. So it's when you put the wipes in to make it look realistic. And that worked really well, I thought, where Chris just suddenly appeared on the other side of the door. Oops, needs a little bit tight, wider that shot, otherwise it's fine. So Chris is again perfect here, doing exactly the same as he did last time.
Exactly.
I think as well, everybody understood this thing. I mean, we did scenes quite often in the series, you know, in Backwards, for instance, where really there were only 2 people who understood what was going on, and none of them was us.
Some people were asking whether that was recorded in front of the audience. Some bits were, and some bits weren't. So if we had to do something with a wipe or a special effect, then we'd have to pre-record that. But everything we pre-recorded was done the day before and then played to the audience the following day. So any laughter you hear on it comes from a genuine audience. Either they're watching what's actually happening, or they're watching something that we recorded the day before.
And that's a good point as well, Ed, because all of these shows were done in these early series, were done in a 2-day studio stand.
Yeah.
You know, not filming and locations and so on. All done.
I mentioned this before, but as a writing exercise, the pilot certainly of Red Dwarf, I was very keen that it was written as if it could be done live, because all the classic shows I loved, Hancock and Steptoe, they were all done live back in the day, and I wanted to see if we could pull that off with a tech show.
It was, Rob, the first couple of series, as Ed said, you the VT you'd done the night before.
Yeah.
If you came to the audience, you watched the show straight through.
Pretty much.
That would do on the telly, yeah.
Yeah, and that gets a much better atmosphere than constantly cutting between the monitor.
And so obviously what we'd aim to do is to do as much as we could in front of the audience. And it was only really through something that was technically too time consuming that we would pre-record.
Here's a good question from Ben P. I genuinely wonder if this kind of scene would be anywhere near as good if we'd done it, if done in a modern single camera way.
We tried that once in one of the later series, and to be honest, once we'd shot it, we thought, nah, and showed it to an audience. You can make things look better, obviously, camera plays a multi-camera, and you can get more precise performances, lighting and everything else. But there's an invisible bond between performers and an audience. One actor said to me, it's like you acknowledge their presence, but you ignore them. And until you cannot recreate that. So to really get the purity of comedy out of a multi-camera sitcom, you've got to have an audience.
I absolutely agree. And there's so few of them around now, and so few people, and directors particularly, with the expertise to handle a multi-cam audience.
Yes. I mean, oh yeah, that's terrible.
It's a shame you don't work anymore, Ed.
You and I were the last 2.
These scutters, they were radio controlled.
Yeah, shot, real spaceship.
They weren't very good at taking direction, Ed, as I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real spaceship, that shot, just so you know.
We believe that signals from taxis nearby was sending them AWOL.
There's footage somewhere of one of them.
That was Peter Ragg's excuse, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I loved it. They loved it.
So those
I would love to have my own scooter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of Craig running up and down the gantry, they obviously stand out a little bit as not being quite part of the studio set. They were basically a gantry that ran around the top of the studio where you could...
Yeah, it was the studio gantry.
You would not be allowed to send an actor up there now.
That's sort of the example of what you
right.
can do as a pre-record on a single camera. You know, you can make it look so much better than how it is if it's a multi-camera shoot, but it's still not worth sacrificing that for the audience.
Yeah, there was. This is true. It was for another episode. The one where he's Chris. They pecked his groin relentlessly, and Peter Ragg was saying, "No, it's the taxis. It's the taxis." And nobody really knows.
Again, a great scene between Chris and Craig here, where you really get to. It's beautifully written because the two of their characters are just playing off each other brilliantly. And this kind of dialogue, it was hard for them to learn. I have to be honest with you.
When we were first talking about shooting this, Doug and I both wanted Chris to be in black and white, and we couldn't really work out a way of doing it, could we? You could do it now.
Yeah, you could do it now.
Yeah, but he's better in colour, isn't he?
Yeah. No, it's just we thought, the H isn't going to be enough, but it was, you know.
I shot that, I must say, foreground, background, and I like that. Because it's hard to get the actors to hit the exact positions when you're doing multi-cameras.
I love this. I love the funeral march stuff. I mean, talk about winding him up.
I like it, but it's kind of justified because he was taking the piss out of Rimmer for being dead, so fair enough.
So in his early days, Danny really was James Brown, wasn't he, in costume terms?
Yeah, we tried to make James Brown as much as possible. In fact, he shot a video while we were shooting Red Dwarf of James on a James Brown track of him driving around in a car as James Brown. And needless to say, Danny is a bit of a fan of James Brown, but this is so good. All his little movements and his bringing his coordination here. I mean, this guy was just fluid. Look at this.
Oh, apparently the magazines had him in black and white. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
That fish was decidedly not moving at the beginning of this. Pity about that. Great stuff.
You can't play with the future, guys. You can't alter the future.
Yeah, somebody's asked if we hadn't replaced Body Snatcher with Me Squared, where would we have put Future Echoes? I think we'd have put Future Echoes second and put Confidence and Paranoia as 6.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah.
You changed it after they were all recorded, didn't you? We changed it with the transmission order because we thought it was a very strong episode. Yeah.
Yeah, we never got round to filming Body Snatchers. I think we might have rehearsed it, but I'm not sure.
Well, we don't forget we rehearsed a whole series before we ever shot it because
I'm not sure we finished the script for that. I'm not sure we got round to doing that.
I don't think we did. And the thing was, I remember thinking when we shot this particular episode, as we were walking out of the studio at the end of it, I thought, yeah, this really is a strong episode. Like, you sometimes walk out going, yes, that's good. And I felt that so much after this episode that I'm so pleased it went out number 2.
I think this is where the series puts a flag.
I mean, it took 6 weeks. I mean, this is an amazing thing. We had 6 weeks weekly turnaround. We'd go in the studio, stay on a Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, rehearse Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and go up to Manchester and shoot on 2 days in the studio. So the series took...
In season 1, we also got a free week, pickup week.
It would be because of the problem with the strike.
Yeah. Which
was
infinitely helpful because we practically reshot the whole of the pilot, didn't we?
That's right. That's right. We got I went and argued for an extra week because we'd had so much trouble with the strike, although it was actually a year after the strike, but that said, it caused a lot of problems. And they gave us a pickup week just in the studio, and it wasn't Ed, just picking up shots.
Yeah, we did a basic. Well, we shot a lot of the pilot again.
I'm going to rip his nipples off. That doesn't sound like a line we'd write. I think Craig might have altered something.
Great music on this. I don't know if anyone's listening on headphones, but I thought this really racks up the tension with the timpani drum.
Yeah, Howard Goodall, what a genius.
Well, the theme tune, we just watched it, didn't we? And the theme tune is so perfect, isn't it? And just triggers in your mind. It's one of those, you just got it absolutely perfectly just from reading it.
That and the model shot gives it a gravitas it really doesn't do it.
Well, not after Blake 7 this way. I remember you guys always saying to me, it can't have Blake 7. We can't be like Blake 7. That was the kind of thing that we were desperate to avoid. And I think we did avoid it, to be fair. I mean, this is low technology and a long time ago. It doesn't look like Blake 7, does it?
Camera trap.
Howard released some Red Dwarf albums recently. Did not know that.
So this
spectacular. I recommend them.
That'll give you goosebumps. You're right.
That was shot through the set. So we take bits of set out and put cameras behind it occasionally to get those kind of shots. Did the same thing with the mirror. When
attack.
In the mirror, you just yank the mirror out, put a camera in there instead. Nice move, Craig.
This is such a complex, clever story, Rob. I mean, I've spoken at length before about how clever I thought the first episode was, the end. But this is a really complex,
right? So this is
a piece of writing.
Okay, so this sequence here, so obviously Craig's playing both parts in this, obviously. So this would be a single shot of him, again pre-recorded because of the makeup and because of the wipe. So there's a wipe running down roughly where the seam in the wall is. So what happens is you record this end first, and then play it back, and then the Craig plays against himself. So at the moment, they're separated by a wipe either side of the set. But when you cut to the wide shot, obviously it's recorded in 2 passes. And you used a process in the old days called roll back and mix. Now what's coming up is a sort of logistical exercise, is that Chris is about to walk out of this shot and into the other shot. So obviously they're recorded at different times. So there you got the 2-shot wipe. You see, and as he moved forward, we cut. And as we had to cut at that point, otherwise he'd have walked past the wipe and had disappeared. So now he's the other side of the wipe. So the stuff on the right was shot at a completely different time to the stuff on the left. Just to give you an idea of how fucking complicated it is to shoot this stuff.
Hey, the writing and the direction are so complicated.
And then that guy disappears just to help.
And at no time, Ed, do I ever remember you saying to Rob and Doug, we can't do that. Actually, we just can't do that.
Oh, yes, there was.
Was there?
They wrote a script once which said, our crew arrived down on rubbish land on the back of giant cockroaches. I went...
And what was the panning over moving snapshots? That was a good one, I remember.
Yeah, that was in... can't remember the name of the episode.
Yeah, somebody's put in James Goodwin's saying, in retrospect, Rob and Doug felt Lister was a bit blasé about his son's death.
Another split screen here. You can see Craig right on the left of this
I love this. Isn't this great?
He's slightly paced, just holding himself back a bit.
You won't believe this. I got a letter 2 months ago from the baby who played Bexley.
Really?
He's an actor.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
So this was tricky. I can't remember how we did this. Oh yeah, we shot
the babies really were crying.
Table, put somebody's thumb on it, freeze framed around the edge of the picture, let the picture develop, and then keyed that with a wipe on top of the model shot. And then we had to speed it up, which in those days was difficult, speed up the development of the photo because it wasn't, the Polaroid wasn't being fast enough. So there's about 9 effects on that. Oh, and then you have to key on the
okay, I'm done.
Key on the credits on top of it, which will look a bit...
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go, guys.
Good episode, guys. Good episode. Now, do we want to do a Q&A, Rob? Or can we do a Q&A?
Yes, we're doing a Q&A. I've already got some questions in.
I'm just moving this one. I'm coming back.
Hang on, there's a Q&A here. Will we be taking questions after the episode? That's a question from Swajit Das. Swarajit, sorry. No. Yeah, of course.
That's the plan, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
did we all talk too much and talk on each other? Because I can't tell if you can hear everyone when we're talking over each other, but maybe it was all right.
How was it as an experience, guys? Does it work for you at home? Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, great. Okay. Now, listen, we'll do some questions because there's quite a few come in already, and anyone who wants to ask one, I think you can put your hand up. But anyway, you can...
Somebody try the hand up thing on your app.
See if I can see it. But anyway, when filming this episode, what was the biggest challenge you faced? Adam Gravit. Well, we kind of answered that one, Adam.
Please do another one. We've got a question. Yeah, okay, we will.
Yeah, we'll definitely do another one of these. It was fun.
Yeah, we'd love to. Did the actors struggle to understand what was going on from Melissa Clarkson?
Yes, there was a moment.
Yes, for a change, they did. The interesting thing about the cast is, I'm not going to name names, but 75% of them can't say the word phenomenon. And it's a kind of thing across actors. There are actors who can say the word phenomenon, and there are actors who can say the word phenomenon.
Phenomenon. So
different.
only one of our actors could say phenomenon, Rob.
Yes, I'm not naming Robert personally, but which is why he gets all the explanations one reason.
The most difficult thing for the actors in that was when they were filming. We were filming the sequence with the mirror, and I was talking on talkback. I talk to talkback down to the floor manager, who then tells the actors what's going on, and trying to explain to them what they were supposed to be reacting to in the mirror when they couldn't see it. And I had a camera pointing through the mirror, and I do remember Craig standing there with a shaver and going razor and going, oh man, I don't get it. I can't understand what they're saying. And Chris coming up to him, to his credit, and going, yeah, they're all idiots.
Just do what you're asked.
He was right. I'd given him a wrong instruction. I'd actually said, react to you cutting your chin there, because that's where you've done it with a razor. In actual fact, there's another part, which I gave him the wrong direction.
But so, Ed, the fact is,
they did struggle with that. It was hard stuff for them to get.
They're struggling. You literally had to have it so clear in your head, because you're talking them through what you know will be the finished composite shot. I mean, you must have been so, they say a great director can run a movie in his head frame by frame. I mean, you must be that. You must have had that in your mind frame by frame.
Well, I never used to feel comfortable about doing Red Dwarf unless I'd camera scripted it down to the point that if I forget, I can look down on my script and I've got all the notes to tell me how it's working in my head. So I would camera script, like on a Thursday night, I would keep going till about 2, 3 in the morning just to get it all straight. And I've never really had to do that with any other show.
No. Did you storyboard it at all? Do you use storyboards?
Storyboard. Sometimes I do mini storyboards down the side of the script, just so when you get to that point, it's there and it's for you to look at rather than looking around for other bits of paper.
I've got to say, look at it now, and I think the sort of blind, incredulity with which we just all dived into it. I mean, really.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't have been able to achieve these things, to be honest.
I've got a question. This is a personal one for me, from Jan Kolinsky, our Czech friend, who's asking, am I planning on visiting the Czech Republic? And the ironic thing is, the day before we got locked down, I was having a lunch with the Czech publisher. August published the books over there, and Gabriela, fantastic editor. She'd come over here for the London Book Fair, which had just been cancelled, and we were organised. I was going to do a tour of Prague and the Festival of Colours in the Czech Republic in July. I don't think I'll be doing it now. I bet there's no Festival of Colours this year.
Hang on a minute, Rob. Haven't you won some major prize in Czechoslovakia?
Well, no, they're doing a sort of tribute to my writing,
right?
Which be embarrassing, but hey.
Great.
My novels mainly, rather than Red Dwarf and everything.
So the novels.
I desperately, Jan, would love to come to Prague, and we will have a glass of your excellent Czech beer together when you do come. Yes, we've answered the broad question.
Jan is asking a question again. No.
Who have we got?
I can only see for some reason.
Did we ever expect Red Dwarf to become the global phenomenon it is, especially over 30 years later? Absolutely not. I mean, you kind of hope it's going to be a success, but it's ridiculous 30 years later. You really can't show very much that's 30 years old and still holds up in any way. I noticed a lot of the references there, like Mospros and things like that. We're going to date very soon. But
who was Teasy Weezy? I didn't even know he was there.
No,
Easy Raymond.
60s, man.
Easy Weezy Raymond, the celebrity.
What is Goit? A Goit. We practiced. We tried to launch a few curse words on Red Dwarf, and Goit was one that never really caught on. It's a goiter, that horrible skin you get under your jaw. That's what it is, and it never really caught on.
But Meg's caught on, so you won one.
Yeah, we won one. Gimboyd, I hope, would catch on better, but he didn't. Really.
Yeah, I like Gimboyd, and of course, Gwen was a favourite swear word.
Was garbage? I don't know the Garbage Wheel script, Ed. I don't know if I saw that.
In terms of smeg, I was phoned up by a reporter saying to me, "What does smeg mean?" I said, "I've no idea." And he said, "Is it anything to do with the male penis?" And I went, "I beg your pardon," and slapped the phone down on him. And I had quite a few of those. I don't know what they were referring to. You have no idea what they were referring to. I still get to this day.
You get quite a few anonymous penis calls, Ed. Is that what you're telling us?
Do you know where it came from? It came from Tracy
Python.
Ullman.
Oh, it came from Python.
No, it came from Tracy Ullman.
When we were doing Three of a Kind, because Rob and Doug wrote on Three of a Kind, which Ed and I both worked.
Yeah, and we went out for an end of series Chinese in Queensway.
Right.
And she was having, they had one of those thick sweet corn and crab meat soups. And she said, "Ooh, look at this, it's like smegma." I didn't know what it was. And I went away and looked it up and I thought, oh my God, Tracy, how do you know? What kind of
that is amazing because, you know, famously in Python, there was a character called Mrs. Smegma.
I did not know that, no.
There was a character which they purposely did because they were so fed up with having words taken out of their script.
Somebody's saying they had Mrs. J.P. Smegma.
That's right. And they put it in to see, well, I wonder if anybody will spot this one. You know, the people who are reading the scripts and telling you can't say gusset and you can't say whatever. And they put it in on purpose and they were thrilled when it got through. And so Mrs. Smegma became a semi-regular character. I mean, she appeared several times. I thought that's where you got it from.
No, it wasn't.
What's your all-time favourite episode, guys? That's a good question.
You've got gussets to scrub, Charlie, indeed. What's your all-time favourite episode?
Well, in some respects, it's this one because of the way it was so successful so early on. I was so pleased with this one, and I loved Polymorph. I loved
Polymorph.
It. So hard to make. And Backwards. Oh, listen, I like all of them. Fine.
Yeah, no, Backwards. I think it's going to be Backwards, isn't it?
Backwards is.
Hopefully, we're going to do more of these, and we'll get to Backwards.
Well, do you want to put a? What do you want to do, Rob? Should we take a vote on what ones people want to see, or should we just work on through?
We'll do them in order, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So bad as they are, it doesn't really matter.
We'll do the weak ones as well as the best ones.
To be honest, I haven't seen Waiting for God well, since we made it, really. I might like it better now. I don't know.
Yeah, we're getting this in order, all of them. Do them backwards.
do them backwards.
I know, you kind of want to see all of them. Okay, so we'll just do all of them.
Well, we'll carry on. So, what, guys, should we do it on Sundays at this time? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good.
Will I be at church? No.
No, not at 2. Ed. Should we do next Sunday, Rob? Is that okay?
Rob, I always think about it. I mean, publishing is really in a strange place right now. Well, and it's going to get stranger, to be honest. Yes, it's quite an investment in time. It's, you know, like 8 months of your life. So I'd have to make sure somebody wants it.
These comments.
What other questions have we got? Well, here's a sort of general one, which is, what are you guys up to now?
And somebody's just asked Rob, are we going to release this as some kind of whatever?
I think so. It's being recorded, and hopefully we can post it up on the website. If Ed hasn't been too rude, we'll have to check over it. You know, it's like. Well,
we can take.
Edit
it. I just wanted to. I actually do have a special guest for our sort of quarantine episode, and he's just coming in now. It's Mr. Flibble.
So you did take props from the set, Rob?
No, this was donated by a fan. And I do love him. He's in my precious box. I have a very small box of precious things.
Well, listen, you're saying we should do them in order, but is there anything we could learn for these troubled times from Quarantine the episode?
Well, we've mentioned this before, Paul and I privately, that really the idea of Red Dwarf is sort of, if you strip away work and money and hunting for relationships, what is left? What's you? What is life? And we're all kind of facing that now. That's where we're at.
We're all trapped on the Red Dwarf maroon.
We are.
You know, and I mean also, listener, of course, the longest known self-isolation in human history.
Known self-isolation. So maybe we can get Craig on to give us some tips.
Well, listen, we'd love to have Craig. We'll see if we can get hold of him. I think maybe one of the cast might join us next week. So, But yes, you know what I mean, Rob. Maybe there's some lessons to be learned. Maybe we should look at quarantine over the next week and see if that's not the best one for next week.
Okay, but okay.
I just think, you know, at the moment, I mean, hopefully we're not. How many episodes down is quarantine? I hope we're not here in December watching when we get to
Ed didn't do quarantine, is why I'm hesitating.
Yes, excuse me.
Who did it then?
Andy did it.
Andy did.
Yeah. Marooned. That's
No,
kind of quarantine, isn't it? Marooned, isn't that sort of quarantine?
Juliet May did do some, Charles, but I don't think she did quarantine. Okay, well, we won't do that, obviously, because Ed won't be able to comment on it. Well, you can do a critique. You can do a critique, yes.
We can do.
We'll comment on it.
Oh, he's crossed the line there. He's crossed
no, look at that.
Look at that jump right down the line.
How could you make that mistake? Okay. Okay, guys, I think, are we done?
Yeah. I think so. There's no fascinating questions left.
Oh, no, there's a good question here. If we do maroon, do we have to eat the dog food? And the answer is yes.
Yes, you will all be expected to bring a bin of your own dog food.
So
listen, you think that's disgusting? In 12 weeks' time, you'll be eating the bloody dog.
But actually, it's quite a good idea that when we show the future, if you know what you're going to be watching, that you do bring a can of dog food, or you do, rather like they do with those interactions.
Yes, you should bring relevant.
Bring the props along, and let's have a laugh.
Guys, should we all now give the NHS a salute? Is that the plan?
Oh yes, of course. Okay, you have your instructions. What we're going to do is we're going to give a Red Dwarf full double rimmer from all of you to the frontline NHS staff and the backroom people who get the cleaners, the caterers, the ambulance drivers, the delivery drivers.
Everybody's keeping it going.
And really risking that.
They are.
To get us on track and to beat this bloody thing. So, in their honour, I'm going to stand.
I'll be able to show you. Any trouble?
Thing. And on the count of 3, the full double rimmer, 5 full circles, and 1, 2, 3.
See you next week, guys. Thanks for coming in.
See you next week, guys.
Thanks for joining in.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye all.
Take it easy. Look at that. Everyone's typing my name.
Ed, bye all.
Ed.
Do you see what they did there? Do you see what they did?
Ed, bye.
Oh, Paul's gone. Okay, guys. See you next time.
See you next time. Take care. Bye.